Hey everybody, it's Tuesday at noon. I'm super excited to talk to you today with Alayne White. If you live in Providence, I don't know how many of you know that that's where I live. Providence, Rhode Island. I love it. It's amazing here. If you do live in Providence, you probably already know Alayne White. And if you live in Providence or even New England and you don't, you should know her. She's completely amazing. She owns a wonderful spa. She's an incredible human. She's a beautiful writer. She's going to join any second because Instagram is just telling me that it's telling my followers that I'm live. And hello, nice to see you. So Alayne should be on any second. She is a writer, the owner of an amazing spa, a breast cancer survivor. We've done an interview before. She's really just an incredible person who thinks a lot about what it means to be a woman, about femininity, about beauty, and new ways of thinking about that. Hello. And so it should be a really nice conversation with somebody who I hope you guys all know and love and follow. Hey Seth, hello Alayne. Let's see if I can do this or if I need you to... Yes, sweet. This is so great. Some weeks are really clumsy, and I love when it's smooth. So here we go. Hello. It's so nice to see you. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Your volume, your sound is a little bit faint.
Let's try that. Better?
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. How's that?
It's great. It's so, I feel like in the beginning, for the first like 6 months of the pandemic, you were one of my tethers to reality, and I haven't seen you in a long time.
Oh my God, I miss you so much. I'm just going to reorganize my lighting situation because, now everything is an Instagram studio.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
true.
I like live in a perpetual Instagram studio. I have to make sure that the backgrounds are perfect wherever I go now. It's hilarious.
Do you have one of those circle lights?
I have several.
Do you? I don't have one yet, but
You don't? Let me get you one.
Yeah.
I have this great guy. It's called Iographer. And
Yeah.
he's from California. His name's Dave, and he's a rock star. And he has hooked me up with the 55-year-old version of all the lighting and microphoning I could use, but I haven't hooked it up yet. I just got the box in.
Oh,
But
nice.
it's great.
So my situation here is that my desk is like the command center. You can see I
Yeah.
have the new leggings from Target, but I have these 3 windows, and so because I do these at noon, the light here is just really bright, and I hope it
Perfect.
washes me out just enough to look like there's a soft filter.
I'm looking at your face and my face, and I look like a pumpkin head. Why do I look so orange and you look so like natural beauty? It's
It
so
might be,
your natural light? What is
yeah, I
wrong with
think
my
it could be,
face?
but it could just be the light, like yeah, I think it's probably just the lighting. But you
I'm
look tan and healthy, and I look a little bit like a frozen turkey, so.
Well, I think it's because my hair's so white, so it makes me look tanner,
Well, since we're talking about looks, I would love to just quickly have you say who you are, what you do, talk about the spa, and then, the last time you and I spoke, like specifically about breast cancer stuff, we talked quite a bit about like the idea of beauty and femininity and identity, and I'd love to kind of dive into that if you don't mind.
Okay, so you want me to introduce myself?
I do. I'd love that.
Okay, I'm Alayne, and I'm so happy to be with you today. I own, well, I've been in the beauty business for like my whole life, and that has changed over time. And here I am, 10 months to the day that I closed my business because of the pandemic. And I opened again in September, one of my 2 locations, and closed another location permanently because of the pandemic. So I'm flailing along with the old school way of thinking about beauty because in a facial business during a pandemic, it's not a hot ticket. So, I redid my whole brand, and now I'm doing lifestyle, and everything's online, and I have this amazing store, and people are shopping on it. And I'm actually having a really good time because I've been doing virtual chats, things like that. And I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor, but caught it super early. So I almost feel a little embarrassed to say that because I never had the chemo and the really bad elements of it that so many women and men have from breast cancer.
Yeah, I think that's one of these funny things that we do, right? Is like apologize for our experience not being valid enough. And you and I have also talked a lot about that. You know, like I'm a pre-viver, and so I feel that acutely as well. But I think,
Mm.
you know, when we had that lovely chat in your backyard, what feels like 100 years ago, just talking about how much your body changes, your identity and the details of people's stories are of course different, but the way that you feel about your body and living in a body that's been changed and altered is still a bit of a mind fuck. And I think, you know, that you shouldn't belittle your experience, and you do a lot of really great work, especially locally with survivors and workshops and writing. And, you know, I think
Mm.
how you think about beauty and the way you portray yourself like so naturally and comfortably is something that I think about a lot.
You do?
I
You're so
do.
cute. I love you. I I think that breast cancer is one of those weird things that while I was making the decision to have a double mastectomy and all kinds of preventative surgery because, that I have that silly BRCA2 gene, that I should say the BRCA2 mutation because everybody has the gene. It's just whether it's turned on or not. I forget that sometimes. And I think what happened with that process, in some strange way, it's kind of like the pandemic. You're in the throes of, oh my God, what do I do? What surgeon do I use? What doctor do I do? Should I take both off? Should I take one off? Should I not do either thing? This craziness, right? And do I do reconstruction? Do I not do reconstruction? And all that stuff. And then you deal with your sexuality. Am I ever going to be able to have sex again? Am I going to want to take my shirt off in front of anybody? And it's just nonstop chatter. And then all of a sudden, you're through it, and you're done, haha, and you check that off your list. And then when people meet you and they go, "Oh, you're a survivor. I've read some of your work," and it almost feels like, "What? I'm not a survivor. That was like 3 years. That was 3 years ago. I've done the mastectomy. I'm done there. Okay, let's move on now. We're on to the pandemic." And that sounds so wacky to say that, but I do believe that we like things to have beginnings and endings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something kind of satisfying about knowing that that's my past and that I am not that person. I'm not that. I am a survivor. And somebody gave me this great survivor necklace that I really struggled with at the beginning. But now I wear it all the time because, whether you had breast cancer or not, if you're a woman, you're a survivor.
It's pretty true. I think, you and I both struggle a little bit with that language. I think it
Mm.
serves a lot of people well to wear like this badge of survivorship or pre-vivorship. And I think the language that we use around fighting and the idea that your body and your spirit, like that there's these divisions between the parts of yourself and that you're fighting something inside your own body, I feel like is a little problematic, but I also haven't come up with something else. And
Yeah.
I think I love how you talk about it because I think it's really easy to get stuck in that experience, and that there is an ending and there's a new chapter and maybe you don't get to go back, but what does the new you look like? How do you contend with your new self and redefine yourself in a way that's positive and allows you to move forward?
I remember when I had my first surgery, I was like, oh my God, because I had to have one of those. I didn't have to, I chose to have a salpingo-oophorectomy. I can say that, and I did that to prevent ovarian cancer because, when you have that BRCA2 mutation, you tend to be more prone to that. And I was so worried about, vaginal dryness and losing my sexuality and that I wasn't going to want to have sex again and I was going to lose my desire. And I was obsessed with it. So it was like as soon as I realized one day, I woke up like the next day thinking, oh, I don't have vaginal dryness. Oh, I want to have sex. I can't, but I want to. And I kept checking in with myself like every day. It was insane. Like, so I could almost check, yep, I want to have sex off my list. Whoop, yep, oh, my vagina's not that dry. Woohoo, wacky. And then when I had my second surgery, I went through the same thing again. Like, is my partner going to want to look at my breasts? And 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 that's been an interesting process too, is kind of thinking about yourself as a sexual being with the top half of your body basically being completely numb and not feeling, I don't feel anything in my top half of my body. Or it's almost like, you know, when you get an epidural, you know that you're pushing the baby out, but you don't feel it. Like it's the
Yeah.
pressure of it, right? And that's kind of how my boobs feel all the time. And I tried to do a full push-up yesterday
Ooh,
because
how'd that
I'm
go?
on I'm on this mission now to do a push-up a day, a full push-up a day. It was like, it was crazy. I couldn't do it. I mean, I can do it no problem on my knees,
Right.
but I'm trying to do a full body push-up. I couldn't do it because I have no muscle on my back. It's so aggravating. But then I
Yeah.
thought, well, maybe I'm not supposed to.
It is, I think doing push-ups now is my least favorite feeling. Like the way that my muscles feel over my
Oh,
implants is just like it grosses me out. And my least favorite thing is when I look down and see how they move when I'm doing it. And then I'm like,
oh,
I
me
give up.
too.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
No. And they're settling in this weird way now. So I have these like weird pockets right here that
Yeah.
like, you know, cover over it. But I think the beauty for me anyway, because I'm 55, headed to 56, is that it doesn't really matter. Like for you, well, how old are you?
I'm about to turn 39.
Yeah, I mean, you're in your 30s. Your sexuality is so different than mine. You know, I've already done my sexuality and I feel sexual in a different way as I head into my crone age. And I like that. But if I was in my 30s going through that, I'd probably be a little bit more egocentric with the way that my breasts look. Now all my friends are so jealous because I just have these perpetual Wonder Woman uprighters, you know,
Yeah.
for the time now. They'll never sag. And I kind of like that. I mean, that's a one up.
Yeah, they're high and tight for life. It is
For
funny.
life.
I think, I had that really very visible kind of cavern between my chest wall and the implants until I had years after I had reconstruction, I had fat transfer because it really was messing with me. Like you're in a turtleneck now, and I used to joke that like I would wear a turtleneck bathing suit. Like I would have worn a turtleneck every single day for the rest of my life because I couldn't stand how it looked. And like I hated having anyone see me naked. I didn't want to take my shirt off when I was being intimate. It just really it affected me in a major way. And I think admitting that I didn't like it and asking to have that small change made a really huge difference. Like I just don't think about it as much now. It's not like, oh my God, they look so good. It's more like I don't think about how bad they look, right? And that it matters because then it's not on my mind at all.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's totally opposite. Like, I love putting on tight clothes and having my boobs like just be rock stars. And I don't even care if my nipples like are headlights anymore, like some 1970s, you know, Playboy girl. I don't know. I feel like there is that weirdness to them, though, for sure. And I was going to say something about it, but I lost my train of thought. So I guess it wasn't that
Well, I
important.
love that so much. I think I'm literally in like men's work overalls, so I can't claim to love dressing in tight clothes right now. But I think there is part of me that I feel like I'm going to age into owning them in a way that I don't feel like I can yet. And I don't know why that is. And I think as I get closer to 40, I feel more and more comfortable in the shape of my body and the size of my body and what I look like in a way that I used to really just think more about. And I think it's just like now I feel like myself in a way that I don't worry so much about, but I'm looking forward to the day where I'm like tits out. And I did a lot of what I would describe as like slutty sundresses this summer, just like very revealing.
Good job. Good
And it
job.
felt like it was almost a part of my healing where I was like, I would
Mm,
never, and because of the pandemic, I didn't go anywhere in them. So it
yeah.
was more like, I'm just with my body in this way that I used to feel uncomfortable with, that I'm trying to be like, no, I'm doing this and I'm going to like sit in it and not be, I used to be uncomfortable alone in certain clothing.
Oh, I'm with you. Well, I think you and I both share that similarity of weird body image challenges because when we write about that. I mean, there's not a day go like my boyfriend can say to me, "Wow, you look great." And then I think, well, what? I didn't look great 2 weeks ago. How come you're just saying that now? What, because I lost 2 pounds? You know, or like I'll get on the scale in the morning with no clothes on and I'll feel, ooh, look at that. I totally ate like a banshee and drank like a sailor for the past 4 days and I didn't gain any weight. Woohoo. You know, like just to screw with myself. It's so fucked up. I mean, this has been how I've been since I was 12, and I'm 56 almost. So please, what is going on with us and our body images? I think the breast reconstructions actually helped me a little bit with it, because I've kind of thrown my hands up and go, well, nothing I can do about it. So
Yeah.
these. And I think I've leaned a little bit more into my body shape more, because I'm never going to have your 6-foot legs and you're never going to have my hips. And so, that's the part that you might think you have my hips, but you don't, because you're straight. And I'm like, ooh, but that part of me, I've kind of learned to enjoy a little more. But I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't glance at myself in the mirror and go, oh God, if I could only just lose 5 more pounds.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the perpetual struggle of being a woman, I think. And I think about that a lot because I'm a mom of a girl, and how much I remember observing my mom looking at herself. And I remember being in a dressing room with her and my grandmother, and how disparagingly they talk about their bodies. And it taught me to do the same thing. And I try so hard to never talk about my body in front of my daughter, not positively or negatively, but just like
but they know.
Yeah.
They know. I don't know. I watched an Oprah show back along, when I was in my 40s, and she was talking about this very topic, and what they were discussing with some guest therapists they had, is that women are trying to empower their daughters by saying, you're fabulous, you're gorgeous, you look great, you're smart, you're beautiful, all that language that we say to empower and lift our daughters. But yet in the mirror, and make sure that you love yourself, care for yourself. But then in the mirror, moms are looking at themselves all the time and looking at their backsides and looking and going, oh, or I can't eat that. So it's not so much what they're saying, it's how they're behaving. And, our children are watching. And by the way, our sons are watching too, because when those sons are watching, they're watching their perception of female experience, and then they either put it on themselves or they put it on their girlfriends or their future wives or partners, the way they think about body type and shape. We forget about that the boys are watching too, and they're watching.
Yeah, they totally are. It's so true. And I think, you touched on something that I wanted to bring up too, was that we both do a lot of writing, and we used to do some writing together every week, which was really fun. But how much that helps process all of these things, whether it's body image or cancer or parenting or whatever it is. But like, I really feel like I gave myself space in the pandemic to process a lot of things that I maybe, because we were sharing, giving prompts to our group, like I wouldn't have come up with those on my own, and I wouldn't have talked about those things on my own. And that, through Brilliantly and through writing and all of these ways that I'm having to like create words, I've processed my grief about my mother, but also about my body and myself in this way that I feel healed from writing. And I wonder if you feel the same way, because you write a lot about your business, and right now especially.
Yeah, I do. I think for me, if I didn't write, I would have either had a heart attack or a mental breakdown by now. And I really mean that, because the writing is that thing that gets me out of bed in the morning, and I have to get it out of my body or my brain, or else I can't settle down. And I think the writing groups that you and I were in, that we created, were super helpful. I'm still in one group. We still meet every week. I really miss our group though.
We got to get it back.
Yeah, we do. We have to get back. But I do think that writing is a great form of accessing the message center of our hearts and our creative force that takes us out of our brain, even though we're using our brain to write. I think when we're writing, it actually allows your heart to speak in a way that maybe, how many times did we write something? We'd have a prompt that would say like, hey, write about this blue cup. And the next thing you know, you're writing about your mother when you were 12 years old. Something happened with her that you didn't even know you had, but it accessed it. And it brings it out like a wonderful, ghost of Christmas past. And that's what I enjoy about writing.
Yeah, I think I just appreciated that so much as a weekly touch point, when it felt like, nothing felt stable. And I think there not much still feels stable, but in that moment of transition into instability, it felt like seeing the same group of people every week was at least a thing I knew I could count on. And I liked that. It was really, it felt important, and I hope that we can do it again.
We have to. I think the more we can write, the more it gives permission to be raw and vulnerable. And I do believe that vulnerability is a superpower. I mean, Brene Brown said that before anyone else did. And when she said it, I think we all knew it, but we didn't want to admit that that was okay and that it was a strength. But now it's like bragging rights when you're vulnerable. For me anyway. I love to be vulnerable now. I don't need
Yeah.
to suck it up. I don't need to put on a cape and like fly through the air and pretend I'm Superwoman. Like that's what happened to me when I closed my location in Providence, which was a wildly successful location. But I closed it because I had to put a cork in the cash dump that was happening for the past 9 months.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the most grown-up business decisions I've ever made that absolutely removed all emotion. I mean, it was emotional, but I had to make a business decision that was clearly linear, that had nothing to do with emotion. And that was the first time in my 20-year business history that I think I can honestly say that I made a really clear decision based totally on business, not on emotion. And I'm so grateful I did that. As painful as it was, as painful as it still is, if I hadn't done that, I probably would be getting ready to declare bankruptcy because I'm in a facial business during a global pandemic. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a reality. I don't care how good you are as a businesswoman. People are not coming in at the high level that they used to for a facial business to take off their masks. Can't say I blame them, although we are probably one of the safest places out there for you to come to in our Bristol location. We run it really tight, but still, it's still a facial.
Yeah, totally. And I think the idea of being vulnerable, to your point, is also about business. It's also about your work. It's about every part of your life. And I'm still struggling with how to do it. I say it and I preach it and I read all the things, and I feel like I'm trying to reinforce all of that positive messaging about what good it does for you as a person, but I'm still trying to walk the walk. I think I
Oh,
have a really hard time letting my guard down. And one of the things that I still chuckle when I think about it that you said to me was that I seem groovy on the outside, but I'm trying to remember what you called me on the inside, that like I'm secretly a basket case. It's true. And I think other than people who like read my sort of raw writing, you might not know. And I'm working towards it. But I think
mm,
that's one of the things I appreciate so much about you just as a human is how true to yourself you feel. And like, I know if I ask you a question, I'm going to get an honest answer.
mm.
And whether that's about, pick a topic, I just know that you're somebody who is trustworthy.
Thank you for saying that. That's such a nice compliment because that's how I move through the world. And I think anytime I've ever had a challenge with an employee who's left me for some reason, if they've ever questioned trusting me or integrity, I always struggle with that because I always think, wow, they don't really know my insides because my insides are as clear as my outsides and I match. I mean, my whole goal for my whole life has been to match my insides and my outsides. So what you see is what you get. There's not this body armor up that says, hey, I am this person. I want to show those weak spots but a lot of people see my outside and they think that, I'm not a mushy, sensitive soul and that I don't have feelings or, that I don't know. I think they forget that I'm human, that I goof a bit about being Wonder Woman and all that, but that's not really true. I mean, we're all Wonder Woman in our own way. But I got this funny coaster. I don't know if I ever showed it to you. I wanted to show it to you. It just makes me laugh. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it.
I like that a lot. Or anyone who mentions it. I
Yeah.
think it's a funny thing that we also do to each other, right? Like, you look so great, or this or that. And, that's one of those things that I hope to move away from or have it be more genuine. That there are certain people who can give a compliment and it feels really real and authentic, and other people where you're like, why did he say that?
Yeah, it's so true. My friend Melanie's just joined here. I wanted to say hi to her. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I loved talking to you. So we're going to link to all of your handles in the caption to this. But if people want to find your writing or want to reach out to you, or, there's other small business owners who are following along, like What's the best place to find the amazing Alayne White?
Huh. Um, well, you could go to, can I just do one shameless plug for
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
do
doing
it.
right now?
Plug away, plug, plug.
So I'm doing this thing. One of the things that came out of this whole pandemic is my love for connection with other people who are either confused about what they're using on their skin, because skincare is so damn confusing, and we're all buying lotions and potions without a clue about what we really want our skin to look like. So I'm doing these virtual chats that are free 10-minute chats to kind of have you bring all of your crap in front of me, and I kind of like help you lay out a routine for it so that you use it up. But also, I'm doing virtual personal shopping for the holidays. So you can sign up for a free 10-minute chat, and I walk you through my whole store. But we do it from your living room. You tell me who you're buying for, and then I help you pick out
Oh, I
really
love
good
that.
products. Yeah, I'm selling all the Hope and Main products. So I'm
Yeah.
doing curated boxes with Hope and Main. So it's not just lotions and potions. It's all different, like affirmation things and books and cool things. So they can find me on AlayneWhite.com, or they can go to AlayneWhiteVirtual.com. I have my Instagram, which is Alayne White, Facebook, Alayne White Spa. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
pretty I'm pretty easy to find.
I'll put some links in here so people can find you because I
Thank
think you're totally worth following. You've been sending me those Instagram things. I'm someone who probably needs help with that. I get a lot of
Oh, please.
people who, because I'm not someone who's super into products, so people give them to me and I'm like, I don't know how to use this.
We should do a live with that. It would be fun to do, like you and me, and you pull out all your stuff, and then we do a live, and I show you what an actual chat looks like. It's really fun.
Yeah, I
I've
would love that.
probably done, honestly, I've probably done 100 of them. And more times than not, I'm telling you not to buy something from me because I want women to use up what they have, because we
Yeah.
don't need to have $3,000 worth of products in our bathroom. I'd rather have you buy a nice bottle of wine than spend it on a moisturizer that you don't need, really. It's true.
Yeah. I love that. And that's why I think you're so great. That line right there.
You are.
Well, thanks for the time. I'm going to link to you and let's work on getting our writing group back together in the new year.
Please.
Okay.
Love that. I
All
love
right.
you so much.
I love you
And if this
too.
is the only way we see each other, so be it. But let's make a plan, okay?
All right. Yeah, I
Bye.
think that's great. Love you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Love you too.